done bluefin tuna on the show once before, but this is yellowfin, and this is a preparation that we do here pretty often. It's a nice light dish once again. I've got a completely clean piece of loin here. A lot of people don't associate Louisiana with tuna, but actually we're the #2 tuna fishery in the United States after Hawaii. I'm going to sprinkle this with just a little bit of kosher salt. I've got a little bit of soy sauce right here. I'm going to let it roll it over, let it sit in there for a second. I'm going to moisten my hands with water, and I've got a little bit of seaweed paper. Now, a lot of our ingredients here are pretty much ready to go at the Asian store. I'm going to try to cut this to fit a little bit. I'm going to place the tuna right there and just roll it up, kind of seal the edge. Okay. I've got a pre-prepared hot pan here. You can see it's smoking a little bit. I'm going to cook this tuna on all 4 sides for maybe just about 5 seconds a side, maybe 10 seconds. You can hear that sizzle when it hits the pan. And while that's cooking, I'm going to mix up our slaw. Got just pretty basic slaw ingredients here with kind of an Asian flair. It's got some shiitake mushrooms, some chopped green onion, some carrot, and some cabbage. And the dressing is made out of soy sauce, lemon juice, canola oil. It's got just a little bit of sesame oil just to give it some flavor. I'm going to go reach behind me and turn the tuna over now. I want to get all 4 sides equally if I can. I'll place that right on this decorative plate here. I've got a little bit of pickled ginger, a little bit of seaweed salad, a little bit of more soy sauce, and got some wasabi here that's already been mixed up with a little water. Place that right on there. Time to turn our tuna again. And you do need a good sharp knife for this. Okay, and that's all the cooking that's going to get right now. Go ahead and slice it. So I'm using the entire length of my knife to get a nice clean cut. And I'm going to place this under the salamander just for a second. Bring it down and shingle it on the plate. As you can see, basically this is a raw tuna dish. Very little cooking involved in it at all. And that's the finished dish.
GW Finn's is a great restaurant with dinner items so fresh they print a new menu daily. Call Christine and tell her CT said to give you the best seat in the house.
It's only a great day of fishing on the water today. I gotta tell you, this is probably one of the best tuna trips I've seen, experienced, been on a long time. Yeah. Keep coming. Yeah. Look at that. They're swimming to the boat even as we sit here. But let's talk a little bit about tuna. Okay. All right. We're summer fishing, and the one thing about Louisiana that we've got probably better than anybody else is a year-round fishery.
Absolutely.
And so let's go through it a little bit. This time of year, we're fishing with live bait, doing what everybody commonly calls bump troll. Bump troll. Pretty much just sort of staying above the rig, kind of easing along, letting the boat drift along with the baits, keeping the lines out of the motors. Most of the time shallow, but do you sometimes put a weight on and go down deeper?
Sure, sure. If you're marking fish and they're not coming up, you go down to them.
As we move later in the summer, does anything change? Or is this a typical way of fishing through the fall?
It'll go through fall. The chumming will get a little bit better. We tried chumming a little bit today with the pogies, like we do with the lump.
Another technique we used today was poppers. All right, well, as we move in the wintertime, let's talk about November, December, January, tuna at that time of year.
The one thing I'm looking for when the cold weather hits and the river's up, mullet. really doesn't matter what size. I've caught some of the biggest, and tuna, this size, on mullet the size of a legal trout. They're in the river. If the netters don't get them, you can find them up on the banks. You can find them in the shallower passes, Tiger Pass, Red Pass, Baptiste. Live mullet when it gets cold and the river's way up, because if you get lucky enough to find a school of mullet offshore, you're gonna have one of the best days of your life. They're going nuts on them, and they're in close. You can see the lighthouse when it happens. You just right place, right time, definitely right bait. I've spent 2 hours some days throwing the cast net with only 6 mullet, and go out there and just bang them up.
Generally speaking, as we move into January and February, that's when the world famous Sackett Bank or Midnight Lump turns on.
It's a madhouse. I'm sure you've been out there on those days when there's 100+ boats out there. Everybody's tangled up in their anchor lines and screaming and shouting. Fish are going crazy. Normally it's chumming. I prefer bonita because it sinks faster and you get to cover more of the water column. You're feeding on anything, and it wouldn't hurt if you know how to operate a kite bait. A big hardtail or mullet on the kite bait. You're anchored up. Hopefully the wind is blowing it off your stern. Kite bait on the surface. You may have to deal with some sharks and some kings, but the payoff is that our biggest. I'll put it this way: our biggest tuna this past year came off the kite bait.
All right, so lump season, everybody starts moving off of the lump, puts their big giant garbage can anchor ropes and balls with the big steel rings up. Then what do you do?
Then it's kind of cat and mouse. Spring, if you can find them in spring and you find the right bait, the threadfin will start coming in. Mm-hmm. Threadfin herring, exceptional bait. We didn't get any today, but we didn't need it today. They'll start moving through, and when you can find those schools, tuna aren't far from there. So if you're coming out of South Pass and you find a school with threadfin, you want to start fishing the deeper rigs right there on the shelf.
And that takes us through the whole cycle. Well, Sonny Chandler, Captain, a great day on the water. How much fun was that?
I'm exhausted.
Give Captain Sonny a call and come on and do some fishing with him, or you can call us at the 1-800 number, 1-800-70-GUMBO, free call, free brochure. We'll hook you up with Captain Sonny and some other things to do in Louisiana while you're here. But I hope we can come do this again soon.
Anytime. Open invitation.
That's this edition of Louisiana Wildlife